We are born of the blood, made men by the blood, undone by the blood. Our eyes are yet to open. Fear the old blood.
In order to understand Bloodborne, we have to start before the game even takes place, because where a lot of people get confused is they play the game but they don't understand where all these people are coming from or why this even started. So, to understand the game, we have to understand what took place before the game. At the beginning of it all, there was Bergenworth. Now, what is Bergenworth? Bergenworth is the single-handedly most important place in the entire game. Bergenworth is the original college of the students trying to understand the gods, the outer beings, the elevated human existence. In summary, they were trying to understand how to evolve. One day, when looking for the next step of human evolution, the students of Bergenworth discovered an underground labyrinth holding the secrets that would start the complete story of Bloodborne. The students that were sent into the caverns that you can actually play in the game, but we'll get to more of that later, are called tomb prospectors. These are basically just students of Bergenworth that Master Willem and everyone else sent down there to seek information. And once they got that information, they found people called the Thumerians. Now, besides Bergenworth, Thumerians are the most important people to know about in this game, and they are also the most confusing people to understand in this game, because the game doesn't explain them at all. This is just one of the things that Miyazaki does where he doesn't really explain some of the lore. You kind of have to figure it out. You have to kind of guess. But Thumerians are the people who live in these underground catacombs, and Thumerians are basically humans that are just evolved. They are stronger, they are faster, they are taller. They are just basically the next step of human evolution. They're smarter. And one of the things that the tomb prospectors saw when exploring the catacombs is that when these Thumerians got hurt, they were able to regenerate and be fine in the next couple of seconds, because it's almost like Wolverine's powers. They have super like healing regeneration. They're basically just a human that is on the next level of evolution. However, the Thumerians weren't the only thing that these people found down here. They also found literal gods. They found the literal thing that they were searching for all this time, trying to find the answer to. They found the Great Ones. And the Great Ones are pretty much my favorite thing in the entire game. They are so sick. The Great Ones are gods that each have their own desires, they each have their own goals, and each one of them is completely different. Some of them fight, some of them are passive, but one thing is certain, that they all have a goal, and it is always different. Now you might be wondering, why did Bergenworth and the Thumerians actually join forces? It doesn't really make sense that the Thumerians would just give Bergenworth and the people above all their resources and knowledge and, kind of let them ascend to the greater planes that they have as well. Well, in all reality, the Thumerians weren't as all good as they seemed. They had actually done something so horrible and they needed help. So they teamed up with the Bergenworth scholars to try to get as much help as possible, but it came with a price. So what they got from the Thumerians was obviously the blood and the knowledge that they had been seeking for this whole time. But in order to understand why all this crazy stuff happened, you have to understand what was so horrible that the Thumerians did that started all of this. Like I said earlier in the game, each Great One has their own unique purpose and goal, but what you'll see is a common occurrence in this game is NPCs and people you've met along the way randomly getting pregnant, and you're wondering, what is this from? Well, in short, it's from a Great One called Formless Odin. You'll hear Formless Odin get mentioned many times throughout Bloodborne, but what is it? It is basically just a Great One that cannot be seen because it has no form, but it is just not, if not more powerful than all the other Great Ones. And this Great One's purpose was to impregnate and have a child, and he chose someone in the Thumerian dungeons to bear that child, known as Queen Yarnum, which we will meet later in the game. So, you might be wondering, why is this so horrible, and what led to the complete destruction of the Thumerians and all of this terrible thing that happened in Bloodborne? The Thumerians were excited when this happened, and they even thought that this Great One was going to be the leader of them. So when Queen Yarnum took many, many years and the child was still not produced, they went crazy and got impatient. So they decided to actually rip the child out of her, causing the entire thing to spiral out of control. The entire world went into chaos because the Great One saw what happened, and then the Thumerians were cursed from that very moment. Us seeing that the Thumerians were absolutely doomed from that moment on, we took the blood and we took the knowledge and we left, alongside with a lot of Thumerians that decided to leave the catacombs and join us above, leaving the rest of them down there. Anybody that has played Bloodborne knows that on the surface is no better than the Thumerians down below. But what happened to all these people with the blood and the knowledge that they have found? Well, the best way I can explain that is starting from the beginning of the game.
Oh, yes. Pale blood. Well, you've come to the right place. Yharnam is the home of blood ministration. You need only unravel its mystery. But where's an outsider like yourself to begin? Easy, with a bit of Yharnam blood of your own. But first, you'll need a contract.
Our person wakes up and it is revealed to us that the character that we play is a person who came to Yharnam looking to use the blood that they found in the underground labyrinths. But what he doesn't know, that this blood comes with a curse. Once we get the blood transfusion, you'll notice that a werewolf pops up out of the ground. This is meant to symbolize the transition between man and beast, just like the Thumerians went through once they killed their queen. However, right before the werewolf can grab us and start our transition from man to beast, it bursts into flame. We have no idea why this happened because for most people, this doesn't. The werewolf grabs them and they start their transformation. But something somewhere saved us, but that we do not yet know. We are then surrounded by the messengers of this world, and these little messengers are basically just our best friends. What these little guys are just huge fans of hunters. They are the hunter's biggest fan and try to help them in any means necessary. Which is weird because, your first time playing this game, you think that they're an enemy, but they're really just their biggest fan.
Ah, you found yourself a hunter.
We come across the first lamp of the game, and when using this lamp and lighting it, we are able to travel to something called the Hunter's Dream. The Hunter's Dream is a safe haven for us, or the hub world of this Souls game. When we first get here, we notice a couple of things. The first thing being an abandoned doll, and the messengers popping up out of the ground. These messengers give us our first weapon of the game, a choice between the saw cleaver, the hunter axe, and the cane. Our second choice being which gun we're going to pick. In all the 15 times that I've played this game, I think I've always taken the hunter pistol and not the blunderbuss. I honestly don't even know what that does, so we're just going to move past that.
Gammon. Friend to you hunters. You're sure to be in a fine haze about now, but don't think too hard about all of this. Just go out and kill a few beasts. It's for your own good.
Oh my god, he said the thing!
A safe haven for hunters. A workshop where hunters used blood to enhance their weapons and flesh. We don't have as many tools as we once did, but you're welcome to use whatever you find. Even the dog, should it please you.
But if it's blood you're interested in, you should try the Healing Church. The church controls all knowledge on blood ministration and all varieties of blood. Across the valley to the east of Yharnam lies the town of the Healing Church, known as the Cathedral Ward. And deep within Cathedral Ward is the old Grand Cathedral, the birthplace of the Healing Church's special blood. Or so they say.
Okay, it's time for another lore dump, so get your notepads out and listen, okay, because this is important. I've explained what has happened before Bloodborne, and now we're at the present time and the world's all fucked up, so we have to understand why it's all fucked up. So basically, when Bergenworth got the blood from down there and they brought it up to the surface, they obviously started using it. It is the blood that they have been searching for the entire time. It's the whole reason why the college has even been founded. And a answer to the universe, an answer to evolution. Like, where do we go from here? That's what they were looking for. So once they found it, they started using it, obviously, and they found exactly what they were looking for. The blood has done amazing things for everyone. This blood can cure absolutely anything. If you came to this town with cancer and they used the blood on you, it would get rid of the cancer. It's that good. So basically what happened was, everybody from out of town started coming to Yarnum, the place where Bloodborne takes place, right? This huge town that we're in currently. So everyone started coming here for the blood. But they didn't know where they got the blood from. They got the blood from the Thumerians, like I said earlier, were cursed. So this blood, because the Thumerians did this horrible thing and in this beastly nature, people started turning into a beast because this blood is cursed by the Great Ones, okay? So everybody who took the blood, using it to try to heal their wounds or something, started turning into a beast, like we saw almost happen to us at the beginning of the game. But this is where it is important. A couple of years after the blood has been used, the Bergenworth College and the Scholars split up into a couple of different sections, okay? Master William is the leader of the church. That's the most, not the church, Bergenworth. That is the most important part. William is the leader of Bergenworth, okay? He's the Grand Master, whatever, okay? His second in command is a guy named Lawrence, which we will talk about later. However, as we saw in the cutscene at the beginning of this video, Lawrence decided to leave Master William. He decided to part off and search for answers of why this blood that they thought was so great is turning all these people into beasts. And Lawrence is the one who started the healing workshop and the healing church, okay? So this healing church is the people who administered all this blood to all this different people. He thinks that the blood should be for everyone and to help everyone. And Lawrence and the healing church thinks that the blood is what will ascend them and the answer to human evolution, right? Okay, Master Lawrence, who is still with Bergenworth, decided to start the choir, okay? The choir is his section of the church, and he doesn't believe that the blood is what ascends them to godlyhood and the next step in human evolution because he's seen what the blood has done to people. So he started the choir. The choir believes that the Great Ones are the answer to everything. The Great Ones is how we are going to ascend to the next step on human evolution. So their entire focus was on seeing their plane of existence. How can we become this powerful? How can we ascend to gods? How can we ascend to Great Ones? So that is his side of the church, and Lawrence left and started the healing church while he started the choir. So that is where we are at today. Two divisions, and where we are right now, Yarnum is controlled by the healing church, the place started by Lawrence. And I know that was a lot, so play it over and over again because understanding that will explain the entire story of this. So yeah, okay, you're paying attention, good. Get your snacks, get your drinks, because we just got started. Okay, let's do it. In Central Yarnum, you find a lot of normal people that have kind of transformed into a beast but are mostly human, except for this guy down here. He's a stronger guy who will basically one-shot you, and, he has a lot of health. The only way you can really kill him is by getting a parry or a visceral. But the weird thing is when you find him, he's surrounded by a bunch of caskets, almost like he has some kind of weird goal, but we'll get back to that later. The way that you heal in Bloodborne is completely different from the rest of Souls games. In the rest of Souls games, you have a certain amount of flasks that you can, level up, and when you need it in battle, you can use it, and then when you rest, that's when you refill your flask. But in Bloodborne, they are actually a consumable item that you find throughout the game, and the way by getting them is by, killing enemies and picking them up, or they're just, on the ground on some of the bodies, and they'll give you a good amount. But your character starts with 20, and then you basically just have to pick them up along the way. If you run out, you got to go kill a couple of enemies, to get some back before the next boss fight, which is one of the most annoying things about Bloodborne. I don't really mind it that much, but is one of the main things that people complain about in this game. Further along the path, we run into enemies that are further along in their transformation process. They're bigger, they have, stronger attacks, they're using different weapons, and they're more beast-like even looking. But that's not why we came down here. We came down here for this item right below. The Hunter uniform. The Hunter uniform is kind of like the default set that you want to get at the beginning of the game. It boosts absolutely every stat, but more importantly, it looks fucking cool. And you can honestly pick your uniform based off what you think the coolest is, because unlike every other Souls game, the hunter is fighting beasts that, it's more about strength. If they hit you with a full suit of armor on, it's not going to matter. It's still going to kill you. If a giant ogre hits you with like this huge fucking club, I don't care how much armor you have on, you're still going to die. So instead of taking the more defensive approach, hunters use like lightweight, stylish clothes in order to maneuver and dodge really fast. And you'll see in this game, a hunter's dodge is so fast they can actually dodge bullets. So it makes sense why they don't want to wear this heavy set of armor. So we then run into my favorite NPC in the entire game, Eileen the Crow. Not only should you do this quest just because of, how cool the story is and how cool the missions actually are and how cool she actually is, you actually get the best item, in my opinion, in the entire game at the end of the quest. And the quest isn't that long. It's like 3 things, and you can do it like halfway through the game. The last boss that you have to fight for the item is a piece of shit and is, in my opinion, the hardest boss in the entire game. He's not even a boss, but to me, he's a boss. But it's completely worth it, so definitely do her quest.
You're obligated to help me, you hear? So what'll it be? Are you going to tell me you're not? Yeah, I should have known.
Other NPCs that you'll find in this game, just like this old hag, is they're looking for a place to stay. They're trying to get out of this nightmare of a bunch of beasts just running around killing everyone. They're looking for a safe haven. So throughout the game, a lot of people will ask you if there's any, safe haven like place I can go, and that's something that we'll talk about later because we even haven't found one, for ourselves. So I don't know how we're gonna help them.
Are you? I don't know. I know that smell. Are you a hunter? Please go look for my mum. Daddy never came back from the hunt, and she went to find him. But now she's gone too. I'm all alone and scared. Really? Oh, thank you. My mum wears a red jeweled brooch. It's so big and beautiful. You won't miss it. Oh, I mustn't forget. If you find my mum, give her this music box.
Along with the music box she just gave us, we got another item called Madman's Knowledge. Now, Madman's Knowledge basically just grants you 1 insight, which you will see in the top right of the screen. But what is insight? In short, insight is basically knowledge. Insight is knowing what is happening around you, being able to see great ones, being able to see, creatures that are invisible to most people because they don't have enough insight. So insight is basically what Master William is looking for. He thinks that the Great Ones, are the key to ascending to the next level of godhood. And his way of becoming a Great One and understanding the Great Ones is insight, which is something the hunter collects along the way by the Madman's Knowledge item or by seeing bosses. It's kind of like becoming more and more crazy, but in reality, you're actually learning the truth. Now we actually have enough insight to see the doll. The doll used to be abandoned because we didn't have enough insight to actually see it. But now that we do, we can actually use the doll to level up.
I am a doll, here in this dream to look after you. Honorable hunter, pursue the echoes of blood, and I will channel them into your strength. You will hunt beasts, and I will be here for you, to embolden your sickly spirit. Did you speak with Gehrman? He was a hunter long, long ago, but now serves only to advise them. He is obscure, unseen in the dreaming world. Still, he stays here, in this dream. Such is his purpose.
Gehrman is not only the person who did our blood transfusion, but he is also the guy who stays in the Hunter's Nightmare. Now, we don't know why Gehrman is here. All we really know is that he's here to inform us of what's going on and kind of push us in the direction that we need to go to complete our own story. Now that we've been to the Hunter's Dream, I think it's time for our first boss of the entire video. Now, the cleric beast at first sight is just a regular beast that is just stronger and more transformed into one. But in all reality, you have to question why is this beast different from everyone else? You know, why do normal people not turn into this guy? Why is this guy so powerful? You know, what made him so, you know, big and different than everyone else? But in reality, the truth is, the people of the healing church, or the people with the most importance, pretty much the people who founded the entire idea that, you know, giving everyone the blood would be a good idea, transform into bigger and more dangerous and more disgusting beasts. You know, we'll show you later that the original and, you know, most powerful people inside of the church and, you know, the Bergenworth scholars are transformed into the most disgusting, the most powerful, you know, the most loud beasts that are in the entire game. And this is just one of the members of the healing church that, you know, where it's turned into a beast and couldn't resist it. So let's fight him. This beast drops the Sword Hunter badge, which confirms everything I just said. It states that he was a member of the Healing Church, it states that he served under Ludwig, and it even says at the bottom that the clerics of the Healing Church transformed into the most hideous beast. As we defeat more members throughout this game, we will see them drop even more badges with even more information behind who they were before they transformed into this disgusting beast.
A little bit more than a single uncharged pebble.
Yeah, that part was from the first time I ever played Bloodborne. But anyways, we're getting to our second boss of the entire video.
Beasts all over the shop. You'll be one of them, sooner or later.
This is Father Gascoigne. Father Gascoigne is a hunter of the church. He basically has just been going around killing all the beasts, you know, just like regular hunters do. The problem is he cannot handle the blood. The blood is slowly turning him into a beast. And there's a couple of theories about this guy, but my favorite is kind of one I'm going to talk about in a second. But Father Gascoigne has the name Father for a reason. The little girl that we talked to earlier through the window, this is her dad. Her dad is out on the hunt. You know, her mom was also looking for Father Gascoigne, and they have found him here in this church. You may see that item in the background there. We'll get to that in a second. Once you get his health down to the halfway point, he fully transitions into a beast as he actually senses danger that we're going to defeat him. So he fully lets the beast out and turns it to his final transformation, which you'll see in a second here. But let's get to the theory as to why Father Gascoigne, when we found him, was killing so many people. And, you know, spoiler warning, the dead mom in the background, yeah, that's the item. But why is he around here killing all these people? So there's two theories. One theory is that because he found his wife like this, that is what finally transformed him into the beast you see here. Or the other theory is that he murdered his wife because he was turning into a beast. But either way, we used the music box that the girl gave us to give us one free hit off on him, and then we finish him off with Molotovs. Now that we've got the brooch, let's go return it to the little girl right after we kill her. What the fuck? Oh, what the fuck? Oh, shit!
Hello, Mr. Hunter. Still can't find my mum. Hello.
On our way farther into the game, we see a note in this library saying something that is actually one of the most important things that we can find this early on in the game. It gives us a little bit of information as to what our goal is and what we're really doing here, along with the Blood Gem Workshop tool, which once we get back to the Hunter's Dream, we'll use. This is Cathedral Ward. This is where we have the choice to send people if we, want to feel nice. But we also meet this little guy who's pretty cool.
The incense wards off the beasts. Spread the word. Tell them to come on over. If you wouldn't mind.
I never made the connection the first time I played Bloodborne, but now that I know the lore of the Thumerians and everything, I understand that these people in the Healing Church attire are actually Thumerians, which explains why they're normal-looking humans except taller and stronger, and they even have a couple of the undead giants walking around in Healing Church attire. This black hole looking thing that tried to grab us is actually the way that we transport into the DLC, but we don't have enough insight to see what's trying to grab us, so for now, let's just keep going. More down the path, we run into the second best NPC of the video. He doesn't beat Eileen, he's not number one, but he's pretty cool.
You're a beast hunter, aren't you? I knew it. That's precisely how I started out. Oh, beg pardon. You may call me Alfred. Protege of Master Ligarius, hunter of vile bloods. So, what say you? Our prey might differ, but we are hunters, the both of us. Why not cooperate and discuss the things we've learned? Oh, very... Take this to celebrate our acquaintance. Beast hunting is a sacred practice. May the good blood guide your way. As you know, the Healing Church is the fountainhead of blood healing. Well, I'm a simple hunter, quite unfamiliar with the ins and outs of the institution. But I have heard that the holy medium of blood healing is venerated in the main cathedral, and that counselors of the old church reside in the high stratum of the cathedral ward. If you seek blood healing, and the church is willing, you should pay them a visit. Byrgenwerth is an old place of learning, and the tomb of the gods, carved out below Yharnam, should be familiar to every hunter. Well, once a group of young Byrgenwerth scholars discovered a holy medium deep within the tomb. This led to the founding of the Healing Church and the establishment of blood healing. In this sense, everything sacred in Yharnam can be traced back to Byrgenwerth. But today, the college lies deep within a tangled wood, abandoned and decrepit. And furthermore, the Healing Church has declared Byrgenwerth forbidden ground. It's unclear how many of its scholars remain alive, but only they know the password that allows passage through the gate.
Holy yap session. Okay, anyways, Alfred has the master name Logarius, and Logarius is someone that we're going to cover later in the video once we get to the secret area. It might even be something that you missed when you played the game. He talks a little bit about the Healing Church, but more importantly, he talks about Byrgenwerth. You see, our character has no idea what Byrgenwerth is. All that he knows is if we want to find out what has happened in past events, we have to get there. And he says that the secret to finding the password there is hidden in the Grand Cathedral going to the Healing Church. More down the path, we find an item called Pungent Blood Cocktails and a door with a message on it.
Hunter! Didn't you see the warning? Turn back at once. Old Yharnam, burned and abandoned by men, is now home only to beasts. They are of no harm to those alone. Turn back, or the hunter will face the hunt.
We have made it to Old Yarnum. Now you might be wondering, why is it called Old Yarnum? This is where they spread the blood to all of the people who came to get it to heal their wounds. And this is where all those people turned into beasts. Once this happened, the people of Yarnum sealed them away, except you'll notice that a human voice is talking to us and you're confused. I thought this place was only filled with beasts. Well, let's go climb this obnoxiously long ladder and find out why there is still a hunter here after all of these years. Yeah, you're out of your fucking mind if you try to fight that guy normally. But let's go pick up his badge to see who this guy really was. Oh, dang, it's stuck. I forgot we gotta reset the area to get this. What the fuck? Oh, yeah, I forgot I didn't kill this guy either. Fucking bitch. Yep. Oh, shit, he's running. He's running. Hello? Hello? Stop it. You bitch, what the fuck? I'm so sorry if I already talked about this already, but I don't think I have. So, I was really wondering why it's called a visceral attack, right? You know, all these times, like, you do the visceral attack and then you kind of just walk up to him and you shove your hand into, like, something, like a wound, his stomach or whatever, and then you kind of yank it out. Like, I've seen that so many times and I'm like, why is it called a visceral attack? So, I'm a kinesiology major, right? And I'm sitting in class one day and we're learning about the two different types of fat, the subcutaneous and the visceral fat. Visceral fat is the fat that you have protecting your organs on the inside. And I'm sitting in class and I make the connection. I'm like, wait, is it called a visceral attack because he reaches in and pulls out the fat protecting your organs? My mind was fucking blown, bro. Like, that is so fucking cool. Like, I never thought about it until I learned about it in class, but that's why that's that animation, and that's why that's what that's called. Because he reaches in and pulls out. It's so cool. I just had to go on a little rant here. When we reload the area, we get the powder keg hunter badge that this hunter at the top dropped. It basically explains that the powder keg hunters were obsessed with weapons that were explosive, that did a lot of damage, that, you know, if the weapon didn't got kick, it wasn't worth it, is what it explained. But the powder keg hunters were the hunters that were here protecting the beasts. You notice they weren't shooting them. They weren't, you know, they were only concerned with shooting us. And why was that? The powder keg hunters were assigned by the healing church, the people who made all of those people turn into beasts, to come to Old Yarnum to exterminate all of the remaining beasts. And if you notice, when I was holding out a torch earlier around the beasts, they were scared of it. And that was because when the powder keg hunters showed up, they burned this place to the ground. And then the hunters realized something. The two hunters that were there realized that these beasts that were once people, they didn't want any of this to happen. They don't deserve to have, you know, their entire people absolutely slaughtered for no reason just because the healing church let them down. And they came to the conclusion that they were going to stay here and protect these remaining beasts from the hunters that come in to kill them, which is what we were.
The moon is close. It will be a long hunt tonight. If the beasts loom large and threaten to crush your spirits, seek a holy chalice, as every hunter before you has. A holy chalice will reveal the tomb of the gods, where hunters partake in communion. Most of the holy chalices lie deep within the tomb of the gods, and the few that found their way to the surface were lost again in the hands of men. But if the old hunter tales remain true, one of the holy chalices is worshipped in the valley hamlet. Yet the town is in disarray. It was burned and abandoned for fear of the scourge. Home now only to beasts. The perfect place for a hunter, wouldn't you say?
Once we mow down a few more of these beasts, because they deserve it, we make it to the final boss of this area. And, yeah, we're just going to leave. Because this boss, it terrifies me. If you've ever played a Souls game before, you know who Miyazaki is. He likes to do this little thing where you have to spend basically all your souls to get an item to progress through the game. And in this game, it's called the Hunter Chief Emblem. So basically what this was at the end of the hunt, a hunter would come back to the healing church and hold this up to symbolize the end of the hunt. You know, it was mainly done by Ludwig. He was the first hunter of the church. He would go out to kill the beast. He would come back. He would hold the symbol up, and they would let him back in. So we can buy it from our messengers for 10,000, which is kind of crazy because I thought those guys were supposed to like us. And now that we spent our souls, unfortunately, it's time for this boss. Thankfully, I've played this game enough times to absolutely beat the living shit out of this terrible boss. Just the fact that it hits you one time and you get poisoned, and you can't see anything because the game's 10 years old, and it's lagging, and the flaps across its face is just flying across your screen, so you don't know if it's hitting you, or if it's just moving, or if it's gonna attack you. It's so dumb. But it dropped the, first challenge of the video, so that means we get to go into the labyrinth and do all the chalices, which is, it's gonna be fun. Yeah.
The healing church and the blood ministers who belong to it were once guardians of the hunters in the times of the hunter Ludwig. They worked and forged weapons in their unique workshop. Today, most ministers don't recall the hunters, but they have much to offer you. And so, heed the message of your forebears. Ascend to Erden Chapel.
Gurman does this really cool thing where he likes to tell you what to do but not how to do it, so I guess we'll find out how to ascend to Odin Chapel later, whatever that means. Reading the item description of the chalice that we just got, it talks about how the old labyrinths have been sealed away, but by using this chalice and ritual blood, we're actually able to go into the old labyrinth that I can't say Thumerians, I swear to God. You know what I mean. We're going down into the catacombs, okay? You get it, okay? I hate this area of the game. It's actually kind of cool, but I can't say Thumerians. Now that we're actually in the catacombs and we're beating the shit out of the Thumerians here, don't they kind of look similar or something we've seen before? The first boss of the catacombs is an undead giant, which is basically the guy that was just walking around with the healing church attire on without it on. This guy should play in the WNBA. He's got some pretty crazy jump. He's got an insane vertical. And he does a shit ton of damage if he hits you. So I just kind of finish him off here with some Molotovs and call it a day. Further into the chalice, we find the build of Eddie Hall, but the mobility of Usain Bolt with the fucking sledgehammer swinging at you. And we realize as we go deeper and deeper, the enemies actually get more intense. We get to another boss of a chalice dungeon, Watchdog of the Old Lords. Now, the Old Lords are basically just Great Ones. Old Lords and Great Ones basically are just the same thing. I gotta tell you, this boss kicked my ass. This boss took me like 10 attempts, and I was really embarrassed because I had never done this boss before, and he one-shots you. He just steps on the ground, he kills you, and he has a shit ton of health. So I died to this boss so many times, I just moved on. So we'll come back to it. Bloodborne takes place over one night, so as you progress through the game, you'll notice the sun going down more and more until it's nighttime, and then it's starting to rise and look different at different parts throughout the game.
Well, an outsider worth a lick of salt. Well, don't you have work to do? You! Stay away from me!
Yeah, this bitch cannot be for real. It's fine though, because we made it to the next area of the game. Using that hunter emblem that we got earlier, we're able to now open the gate for only 10,000 souls, by the way. But this unlocks a new part of the game, the Healing Church.
You're not from around here, are you? Well, an outsider who's come to join the hunt? What a pathetic idea. You what? What, you think I'm a beast? Well, maybe I think you're a beast. And step away.
Oh, thank goodness. You're a hunter, right? Might you know of a safe place? The night is long, and a very little of the incense left. Please, there must be some nice place to run off to. Oh, thank you, darling. Maybe I'll see you there.
That was Ariana. Ariana is one of the most important NPCs in the game. One, because it actually leads you to an alternative ending that is actually basically just the base ending because everyone does it. It's the best ending in the game. So yeah, we want to do her questline. But besides that, she actually has way more lore than a lot of people think, but we're going to talk about that more later. But Ariana's the GOAT. Right before the Grand Cathedral, we come across a note confirming that Bergenworth is still guarded by a password of some sort, so maybe we can find it inside. Before we go inside, though, we see Aline aura farming by Odin Chapel.
Oh, hello there. Perfect timing. I must warn you not to go near the tomb below Odin Chapel in the Cathedral Ward. Henrik, an old hunter, has gone mad. And he's my mark.
To continue Eileen's questline, we go to where she says the hunter was, and we start fighting him by ourselves, except for Eileen will show up in a second here to assist. So, who is Henrik himself? He was basically partners in crime with Father Gascoigne, like the first main boss of the actual thing, you know, the little girl's father. It's kind of up in the air as to if Henrik is the grandfather that these were talking about. You know, in the game they talk a little bit about the Father Gascoigne family tree, except for we don't really know if Henrik was the grandfather of Father Gascoigne, or if he's just one of his hunter friends that accompanies him along with the fights. But either way, we fight him here where we first killed Father Gascoigne, and then we continue Eileen's questline.
That wasn't necessary of you. We made it with our lives. You're not bad at all. You must have killed Gascoigne as well, then. He was falling apart, I'm sure it had to be done. But try to keep your hands clean. A hunter should hunt beasts. Leave the hunting of hunters to me.
Now heading back to Cathedral Ward, we notice that Ariana has made it here, and notice the dress that she's wearing because it comes in importance later.
Oh, hello, dear. You weren't lying. This is a safe place. Thank you. I'm in your debt. I'd like to tender my thanks, but I haven't much to offer. All I can give is my blood. But would you even take a whore's blood? Oh, good. Come close, dear. Don't worry. This isn't the first time.
I mentioned earlier that some enemies in the earlier game are actually from later parts in the game, but they'll be here for an important reason. Well, after we kill the blood-starved beast, this enemy will spawn in the world, and if we let him actually kill us, it takes us to a very, very cool and unique area of the game. This is Yahar Ghul, and remember at the beginning of the game I told you there was Bergenworth, and how Bergenworth split into the Healing Church and the Choir, the Healing Church thinking that blood is the way to ascend, while the Choir thinks that the outer gods and insight is the way to ascend. Well, this is Mensis, a third school that nobody has ever seen yet, because it's later in the game. The only reason we're here now is because of this little Easter egg that you find that if you get killed, you get abducted by this creature. This creature works for Mensis, along with the guy that we saw at the beginning of the game that was way stronger and shouldn't have been there. Their goal is to take people and to basically harvest them and use them as for rituals to try to ascend to godhood, because that's what they believe. So basically Mensis is the most fucked up school, because they basically just abduct people and use them for rituals, because that's what they think will ascend them to godhood. But we're not supposed to be here yet. So let's go back and we'll talk about Mensis more later.
I was seized on the street by a hulking brute in the cathedral ward and locked up here. There were many others, but they've been taken away. And I've heard moans echoing in the distance ever since. So, the hunt is on tonight. Then the streets are perilous, and every door will be shut tight. Perhaps it isn't my place to ask, but do you know somewhere that might take me in? Oh, thank you so much. I'll set out as soon as I can. I pray for success on your hunt, kind hunter.
Now that we told her is safekeeping, let's go get our drip for the rest of the run and head back. Each creature who works for Mensis, like this witch here, has their own unique purpose, and this one is to scoop out her eyes for rituals. Now that we're back from Yahar Ghul, on our way to ascend to Odin Chapel, we have to go to a little unique path here, just to get one part of the ending. We've made it to the old workshop. In my idea, this is where Gurman used to be, as the hunter's dream looks actually identical. Here we find doll clothes, an old hunter bone, and even 1/3 of an umbilical cord. Now, we don't know yet what the umbilical cord is for, but is for huge importance later. We found an old abandoned doll here as well. In this little cabinet, we also find a hair pick that we can give to the doll for something weird to happen. So let's go back and do that. Spoiler warning, this gravestone here is actually how we go into the DLC of this game, but it's kind of weird to me why the doll is actually sometimes found over here. But why is this the only gravestone in the entire area that she goes to? It almost seems like it beckons to her. So let's level up real quick and give her the ornament.
What? What is this? I can't remember. Not a thing, only I feel a yearning, something I never felt before. What's happening to me? Tell me, Hunter, could this be joy?
In this moment, we learn that this doll is actually a lot more than just a regular doll. When we give her things that she actually remembers, she experiences real-life emotions. So, it might be worth our while to figure out why she's here in the first place.
Oh, brave hunter. You're alive. Thank you very much. The town is in disarray.
But there are still people here. Together we await the help of the healing church. I cannot begin to express my gratitude to you. The only thing that I can offer is my own lowly blood, if it would suffice.
After we save this NPC, she becomes absolutely obsessed with us, and if we even go over and talk to Ariana, she will actually stare at us over that gravestone.
Sorry, dear. I've only so...
It really took me all the way up until this point in the game to remember that I forgot to go back and talk to Yosefka. So going back to the beginning of the area, we can actually go up to the door we started at and talk to an NPC through the door.
Oh, well, hello. Splendid. Let me ask you a small kindness. You're soon off to hunt, I presume? Then, if you find any survivors, tell them to seek Yosefka's clinic. Of this sickness, these beasts, they are not to be feared. This time the night is long. I may be trapped here, but I should do something to help. I'll even offer a reward for your cooperation. Tempwell, off you go then.
Now we have done absolutely everything before the final boss of this area, so there's nothing left to do to run up the main steps of the cathedral and fight the boss. This was Amelia. Amelia wasn't a hunter of the church, except she was a very high-ranking member of the church. She assisted with praying and kind of healing some of the hunter's wounds. But because she was such a high member of the church, she turned into a vicar, a very strong and powerful beast-like creature. There are a lot of theories behind why Amelia turned into a beast the moment we walked into the church, but my favorite being is that when we walked in, you noticed that she was praying with the amulet in her hand, but when we actually walked in, she stopped praying. So that break of the prayer is actually why Amelia descended into beasthood. We broke her concentration. This theory is confirmed when we read the item that she dropped. It says, most radical blood gems have effects that bear upon physical attacks, and this golden radical blood gem, kept for generations within the church, strengthens attacks against those afflicted intensely by beasthood. When clerics began transforming into unspeakable beasts, the church needed something to retaliate with. And this is exactly what she was doing. This gold pendant and the prayer, of course, is what stopped her from actually turning into a beast. So when we stopped that prayer, she actually turned into the beast and she couldn't help it any longer. But it's ours now, so fuck her.
Master Willem, I've come to bid you farewell.
Oh, I know. You think now to betray me.
No, but you will never listen. I tell you, I will not forget our adage.
We are born of the blood, made men by the blood, undone by the blood. Our eyes are yet to open. Fear the old blood.
I must take my leave.
Thank you all so much for watching part 1. Share factor only lets me edit in, 1 hour per video session. So I'm going to be posting part 2 here very shortly, right after I make it. We're going to pick up right left where we started. We're going to be going into Bergenworth, the forest that leads to Bergenworth. So if you enjoy this video, go ahead and subscribe and turn on that goddamn bell. And yeah, thank you. And get excited for part 2. So here we go.